أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. I was talking about the description that our Urafa have mentioned about the hadith of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, that I am the God under the bath. So, continuing in the same discussion, a dot in the eyes of Urafa is considered to be if you expand the dot, it forms thousands of words, awalim, thousands of words, and plus thousands of levels of existences. Maratibul wujud, levels of existences, and so this is where, when this reality is understood, then we can easily understand why is the dot is considered, why the dot is considered as huwiyatun mutlaqa, means absolute. In a better phrasing, him being absolute. That's a better phrasing to present the philosophical term huwiyatun mutlaqa, him being absolute. So why we call and believe that in the concept of him being absolute? It makes sense, because that's the expansion of the dot which forms all those thousands of words that we believe in Islam. It's not just the life in this world. It's so many before the life in this world, and so many during the life of this world, and so many words will be there after the life in this world. So all the awalim and worlds are expansion of the same dot. So you can say that everywhere it's the appearance of him. Everywhere you look around from that perspective of Irfan, actually it's the appearance of him. It's his appearance which is visible and present, and everything, that's also true to say, everything. You're talking about how the Urafa look at the hadith of Imam alayhi salam, their perspective. Everything is surviving due to Huwa, he, him. Qiyamul Ashiya, that means survival of the things is because of Huwa. Because it's the Huwa which has been, essential in the existence and survival. So, which is responsible, this Huwa is responsible for the qabd and the bast of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the retracting and expanding attributes of Allah. So we call, in one of those beautiful names of Allah, we say Al-Qabid, and we say Al-Basit, right? One of the beautiful names of Allah, Al-Qabid and Al-Basit, the one who retracts and expands. So when we have learned this much from their perspective, now let's go to the hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam alayhi salam, where he is describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ali says, Qareebun min al-ashya, talking about Allah. Qareebun min al-ashya ghayra mulamisin. Ghayra mulamisin. That means, I'll explain. Ba'idun minha ghayra mubayin. Ba'idun minha ghayra mubayin. That means Allah is close to the things, all the existences. He's close to all the existences without touch, without touching. What does Imam Ali mean? Allah is close to all the existences without touching. Ba'idun minha, and Allah is away, far away. He's away from all the existences without separation. Allah is away without separation. This is the description that Urafa are describing the same issue that Imam Ali says in obviously the best way, but that's what they are teaching us. Now it makes sense to realize how Imam Ali says Allah is close to all the things without touching, and He is away from all the things without being separated. He's not even separate, not even physically touching anything. He's the essence of everything. Survival of everything is because of Him, and and it's He, Huwa. It's He which is appearing in all the things, and His qabs and bast, His retractive and attractive attributes are appearing in all the existences, and thus in all the worlds. So now, the Holy Quran is 114 chapters, and 414 chapters comprise of ayat. The verses, ayat comprise of the kalimat. So 114 chapters, and which are comprising from the verses. And verses come from the words, the kalimat. And the kalimat and words comprise of the letters. And the letters come from alif. All the letters come from alif. And alif comes from what? From the dot, because it's the alif is the expansion of the dot. So look at this sequence. All the 114 chapters of Quran are, the verses constitute them, so they are comprising of the verses. Verses are comprising of words which are used, and words are comprised of the letters. Letters comprise of the letter alif's expansion and zuhur and appearance and stretching. You stretch and expand the letter alif and it forms the letters. And alif is the expansion of the dot.
This is the dot under the dot, or it's a different dot?
This is and that's the same dot which is used under the ba as well. But here I'm just talking about the sequence in a general sense. But the same dot is the one which is under the ba.
But it is also the other dots or only bar?
Sorry?
No, it's only bar under the bar dot or is another dot?
Well, the ba dot is the dot that we are discussing because that's first of all the closest to alif. Remember when I said it's talil alif, is that existence that comes soon after the alif. First thing that comes after alif is ba. So this is why we are discussing ba, because there's tali of alif means something that comes soon after the alif. And the distinguishing factor between the abid and ma'bud, how Mullah Sadara had described it. So yes, we are discussing the dot which is under the ba, but here I'm not mentioning the ba, I'm just saying that the dot itself is the summary of alif, and alif is the expansion of dot. So dot is the summary of alif, and alif is the expansion of the dot. The same dot appears under the ba. Then obviously that comes from alif, but and that's the first creature which is ba, and the distinguishing factor between ba and alif becomes the dot that distinguishes those two letters from them. So when we got till this point, so
say the dot is considered Huwiyat al-Mutlaqa?
the dot, it represents the Huwiyat al-Mutlaqa, correct.
So isn't it like a cycle here, because the dot, the alif comes from the dot, and the ba comes from the alif?
Yeah, because the alif is in the real sense the same expansion of the same thing. This is the summary, and that's the expanded version, if you want to say that. It doesn't sound right to say version, but that's the summary of the same thing, and this alif is formed through expanding the dot. So it's one and the same thing, it's a different way of expressing it. It's one and the same thing, the expression is different. We're expressing it in a different term. We sometimes call it the alif because alif is formed from the expansion of the dot. That's how we represent the alif.
And what are the different words and letters and verses?
Words like, for example, kitab, it's a word. Letters are kaf, ta,
Okay.
alif, and ba.
Okay.
So these are kalimat. In Arabic we call them kalima, kalimat. Kalim is also the plural, and huruf, plural of harf.
But all letters come to alif.
All letters are the expansion of the letter alif. and the flow of the letter Alif. Alif flowed and
Start.
expanded, and the letters were formed. So Alif comes from the dot. Dot is the summary of the same Alif. And this is how it makes us understand that all the knowledges, this sequence makes us understand that all the knowledges plus all the things, all the existences, not only the knowledges, but all the things and existences are actually the Suratun Ta'lifiyya. Suratun Ta'lifiyya of letters. The Urafa say, they look at it in this perspective. This is their perspective. So all the knowledges and all the things of the universe are actually Suratun Talifiyya, means the combination how to translate into English is very difficult when it comes to the terminologies of any science. Suratun Talifiyya means the form achieved through the combination. So the form achieved through the combination of letters, all the knowledges and all the existences are actually forms which are achieved through the combination of certain letters. That's the fact. All the knowledges and all the things are also like this. Remember I talked about Kitabun Takwini, the universe, the Urufa call it the book of existences, Kitabun Takwini, and the Holy Quran is called Kitabun Tadwini, the compiled book, binded or compiled form, a book which is binded and compiled. This is the Quran, and this one is the book of existences. And both are directly interrelated with each other. So all the knowledges and all the things, again we are talking the same thing, knowledges which are represented in the Quran. All the knowledges are represented in Quran. The Quran is the book of realities and knowledges. And all the things which are represented in the universe are coming from Suratun Ta'lifiyya of letters. Forms achieved through the combination of letters. And all those letters are acquired from the Alif. Whereas Alif, in turn, is acquired from the dot.
Alif is not under the letters.
Alif is also one of the letters, but that's the root of the letter and essence of the letter. Because Alif is the one which is flowing into the letters to form the rest. So Alif formed the rest of the letters in Arabic. And likewise, Alif is behind the rest of the existences of the universe. And Alif is coming from the dot. So now it makes us have a glimpse of what the Prophet, what Imam Ali had said, that all the knowledges, so when we learn from the hadith that all the knowledges and plus all the things in the universe, both, all the knowledges and things are actually Suratun Mukarrara. Look at the perspective of Irfan. Suratun Mukarrara is the repetitive form of the letters. Repetitive form. All the knowledges and all the existences are Suratun Mukarrara, repetitive form of those letters. And repetitive form of those letters which are coming from Alif. All the letters are coming from the letter Alif. So you can say that all the knowledges and all the things are a repetitive form of Alif. Because all the letters are coming from Alif. So we came to this point. Now let's go one step further. That Alif in turn is the repetitive form, Suratul Mukarrara. Repetitive form of the dot. That's how the Alif was formed. So all the knowledges and the things are the Suratul Mukarrara, repetitive form that represents kasrat. Kasrat, which is multitude, which is a very frequently used term of philosophy. It's not just a regular word, it's a term of philosophy which is frequently used, wahdat and kasrat, unity in multitude. So all that multitude of knowledges and things are actually a repetitive form of the letter Alif, which is in turn a repetitive form of the dot. So now go to the hadith of Imam Ali alayhi salam, where he had said that al-ilmu nuqtatun kassaraha al-jahilun. Ilm is a dot that the ignorant people made it a lot. Kassaraha al-jahilun. The ignorant people made it multitude and several, a lot. So ilm is a dot. This is perfectly true. And I think we have run into the time, so inshallah we'll continue after that. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.